and we are just going to get started on a little bit of journaling. I am clearing my mind clutter. So this is kind of what we call a brain dump, and this is the planner I have for sale in my Etsy shop. So let me just go through right here. Let me see if I can find January in this book. Here's January. And I'm going to pull up the calendar for next year. Okay, and I'm just going to get a marker from, doesn't really matter which color, just some color that I want to use. And January 1st is a Sunday. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my dates in here. You can use any color you want. Okay, and so this January is month 1 for the first quarter. All right, and the first quarter is going to be January, February, and March. And once I have, now this is just kind of like my brain dump. I actually will put this into something nicer later. But I thought I would go ahead and show you kind of how my process goes with my sewing business, because my LLC is, I have multiple services connected to that. And so this particular will be for the memory bears. I don't know if you can see that or not. Let me zoom in for you. Right, memory bears and keepsakes. LLC. That's what this is mainly for. And then the services will be different.
What is that?
Can you hear anything yet? Let me know in the box below if you can hear me. Yes, thank you, Pam. Yeah, so my phone is connected to our car, and my husband started a car and drove away. So every time that happens, my earbuds get picked up in the car until he drives like half a mile up the street. So thank you. So the year in review, like I said, this is in my Etsy shop. But I like to write down just quick notes that make sense to me. What worked this year? Um, if I should do more of something, like more time for myself or more more of a certain project, things like that, and then do less. Even if it worked, I'm trying to get to the point where I do less hands-on in my business. So that's where I build my support team. And then my to-do list and notes, that's just like I said, I kind of do like a, oh, hi Baker wannabe. Thanks for joining me. Um, so to do my to-do list is I want to make sure that I stay on top of everything this year. I had a lot of family moving that took place, and I'm still not in my own house. I'm still in my daughter and son in law's house. So we've been here for a while now, and we're just trying to get into our own space. And so, doing all of that, moving into 2023, I am looking for specific types of places to rent. We don't own a house. We've never owned a house. Maybe someday. I don't know. I don't know if I ever want to mess with that, to be honest with you. But maybe we will. I don't know. But in 2023, I there's certain things I'm looking for in a rental, like the space. I would prefer to have my studio on the same property as my house. I really did not want to have to commute to a separate building from home. So that's really important to me. The way we are in my daughter's house right now, there's a studio already here, so I use her studio, which has been very convenient and very sweet of her to loan to me. Um, so that's something I want to do moving forward. But year in review, you can kind of just put your own information or your own twist on this yourself. So when I'm working on this, it may not be something that you do for yourself. Um, but to do one thing I know I need to do is to clean up my website. I have five or six different websites that I own. And I think I might actually have more than that if I really pull up my documents and look. But I want to and excuse my sloppy handwriting. It's the best I could do today. Let's see, clean up my websites. And if you look at any of my websites, they will already be, for the most part, they're pretty clean. But there's just something about one particular one that's driving me nuts. Um, let's see here. And then I know I want to find a studio attached to a house. That's what we've been looking for, and that has not been easy to find this year. In prior years, it was not this difficult, but it's really difficult this year. So I don't know if 2023 is going to be the same way. I know I would like to go live regularly, and I also want to do collabs. I love collab videos, and that's something that I am interested in doing again. I did that years ago for my marketing and publicity business, and I did a weekly podcast with some old clients of mine, and I enjoyed that. And that's something I would like to do again. I would also like to put podcast more. So back in 2021, I had a podcast called So Sell It. Here, that's what it was called. So Sell It podcast. And so I want to get back onto that podcast and make that a regular event, I should say. So what I will do with this junky calendar right here is I am going to um, write down which days I want to go live on YouTube, Instagram, my podcast. Oh, thank you, Pam. Yeah, so I would like to get back into the podcast. I think I do a better job with the podcast than I do with my live videos, and I don't know if that's because I'm nervous that somebody might be watching me, whereas a podcast, nobody really can see me. So I think that's a fear I just need to like get over, right? Um, but that's something moving forward I would like to do. And the podcast, the main thing for that podcast was I wanted to interview sewpreneurs, which is a sewing entrepreneur of any type of sewing business. It didn't matter what you would sew and sell. I just really like to interview other people. That's something I've enjoyed for years, and I want to get back into that. So if you're listening and you're interested, you just need to let me know, and I'll get you on my podcast. So this is the year in review. I will fill this out like what worked and what didn't, and whatever. And then my monthly goals. This is something. Let me see here. Yeah. So this is what I will use at this, like I said, this is kind of like my template um, to get my year planned. So hopefully I don't confuse you. This is the book I have for sale in my Amazon author page. Thank you, Baker. And so this is, like I said, this is the one that's for sale, and I have already started filling it out. I have a lot of notes, like a scribbles, I like to call it. And as you can see, I completely write all over the place. But this is the one I have for sale there. And it's a 1 month sewing business planner. That's what the title says, but that's not truly what it is. You plan your entire year in 1 month, and this is your whole entire year's plan. That way you don't have to have different binders laying all over the place. And I can give you a quick glimpse. I I have to hide my notes uh, for the most part. Let me see what I've got here. So quarter one is January, February, and March, which would end up being weeks 1, 2, and 3. And then quarter two would be April, May, June, if I'm thinking properly here. Yeah, April, May, and June. So week 2 is actually quarter 2. I know it's a little bit different, my thought process going into it, but when I sit down to plan an entire year like I used to do, I was very overwhelmed, and by the time I got to May, I was just done. I was over with it. I lost paperwork. It was a it was a mess. So I thought that by putting my entire year's plan in one book that would just, and this book definitely stands out from all my other books that I own. Um, I would know, oh, you know what, this is the Memory Bear and Keepsake sewing planner. This is my year's plan and so forth. I was going to see if I had a blank sheet to kind of show you. Here we go. Okay. So quarter 3 would be week 3, which is July, August, and September. You would just date that. I have blank, the back sheet or back side of each of these, they're blank for purpose. You can sketch on those. I like to doodle, like draw things and sketch. So that's why I left those blank. Random thoughts, you can date that and put whatever your thoughts are here. And then we have the week of your growth checklist just to see if things get done. what activity you did, and then you would check like the day of the week, or you could actually put the date, like Sunday 9 to Monday, whatever the date is. This week, what is something that you want to accomplish this week? I have that here, and then I have the sewing goals. And so that's something that we go over um, quite often. I don't always pull this book out when I go over the information with you guys, but that's where I'm pulling the information from. I was going to show you something. Let me see if I can find it without bumping the camera. I'm not sure how many of you are interested in planning a whole year um, with your sewing business, but you can just let me know if that's something you're interested in. All right, but so right now, for me, I am going to fill out the year in review because it's the end of the year. I'm looking back over what worked, what didn't work, what I want to do more of, things like that. Um, that way, I can get a clearer perspective on what I'm going to do the first quarter of the new year. Um, that's there's a lot of things I want to do in my business that I did not want to do beforehand, but I would like to implement in 2023. But in order for me to do that, I need to put it in writing. I need to figure out if I'm going to be the only one handling that certain project or if I need to have somebody on my team do that. And I've already started that. And one thing that I started doing this month, this which is December 2022, is I have somebody in charge of my social media graphic designing. It's not because I can't do that, it's because I don't have the time any longer to do that. And if I'm spending my time creating those graphics and doing the research for them, that's time that could be spent going live and getting my podcast running. And so, I used to be a online business manager, which is called a VA, virtual assistant, and I did that for like over 15 years. And now I have to treat my business as if I I need to just have a virtual assistant. I need an assistant. I can't be the assistant and the business owner and do all the things that need to be done. It's just, there's not going to be any growth. I'll be stagnant. So one thing that I'm going to do on this year in review is right, who's on my team and what will they do? And I thought for sure I had a um, checklist for that. It might not be in this pile, but I'm going to check real quick here. Yeah, I don't really see it in my pile of printed papers. That's okay, doesn't matter. But right here, do more of, I'm going to say outsource. And here I'm going to say to who and what. And then how often. Because even though I do all of the sewing, I need all hands on deck for a lot of the online stuff that needs to be done. And I do train my own team members on how to do this. For instance, right now I said graphics. And I've already outsourced that. Somebody's already taking care of that. I put that with the who. Sorry, that's the what. The who, I'm not going to put their name here. And then how often. For this particular thing, they do 30 a month for me right now. And I'll date that 12/22. I'm going to go through my entire business. All right. And I can go ahead and show you some of that thought process. I'm just going to write on the back. Like I said, I'm going to use this as my scratch paper. So, some possible team members. I have graphic design. And then I'm going to say social media management. That's something that I need because I end up getting inbox messages that, like for instance, I don't always get to check that because I'm doing all the other things. And so I need somebody in charge of the social media management. And I'll have them check that like 3 times a week. And that does not take long at all. And I can have canned responses for that where they can just kind of like highlight answers if it's a generic answer like how many pieces of clothing do I need for an 18-inch bear. I already have all that in writing, so that way my assistant can just copy that information and send it off. I try not to use artificial intelligence or those robots where they answer for you, where you can create the question and the response and the automation will send it out for you. I have used that in the past and it has caused some it just did not look good for this business that I own. This type of business, I just don't recommend it. And that's my opinion. I don't, whatever works for you and your business, that's fine. Um, there might be a time and a place that's really good to use it, but I'm personally not. Right now, I'm steering away from using that personally. Um, what else can I use? I'm going to do customer service, and I would like somebody to answer the phone for me, and I'm going to say specific hours because right now, again, I'm using my business phone number, but I'm allowing I don't ever answer that. I always ask them to leave a message, and a lot of people are not liking that, and they let me know that they don't like that. They want to talk to a real person, and I can't blame them. It makes sense. So I would like to have somebody answer the phone specific hours. It's not gonna be full-time job because I don't have the budget for that. But certain times, during the day or specific hours on certain days, so I'm gonna say that. And then, also for the emails, so I think one person is going to check this for me. Check my voicemails. Alright. Email, voicemail, answer the phone. I want this person to handle just this. I don't want the same person handling the social media management. Um, actually, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. I'm I might have them do this opposite of each other. So, like, if they do social media and they check that 3 times a week, I might have them check the customer service alternating. It just depends on how much that would end up costing me. But, they might be able to do it all at the same time. I did that for a number of my old virtual assistant clients where they had me in charge of all of the customer service, but they had it spread out. So certain days of the week I would answer the phone, certain days of the week I was checking the emails, and certain hours of the day I was on one place, that kind of thing. That way they weren't going over their budget that they had set aside. So I hope that all that rambling makes sense and is helpful if that's something that you're looking into. Let me see here. budget. Not always fun, but definitely needed. I need to know what money is going into going going where. And then on top of the budget, and again, this can just work for you however you want it to. For my tools, uh, machines, the upkeep, things like that. What is the word I'm looking for? Like the polyfill and things like that. I need to assess what I already have so I don't end up buying double or triple and not need it. I don't want to have a large amount of products on my shelves. In other words, I don't want a number too many bolts of batting. I would like to keep one bolt of batting per quarter. Unless, of course, I have that many orders come through. But I think what I'm trying to say is inventory control. That's it. I figured if I would ramble enough, I'd figure out what I was trying to say. So inventory control. I I do not want to be overtaken with inventory. That's one thing that I enjoy about this kind of business is I do not need a bunch of inventory. I don't need to go out and buy bolts of fabric, but I do need to have at least a bolt of my Pellon interfacing on hand and my bamboo batting on hand. I need to keep at least a full bolt on hand at all times, and same with my thread and needles. So I like to keep a couple of like for thread, I like to keep 4 white, 4 beige, 4 black, and 4 gray at all times. My sewing needles, I like to keep um, at least 2 packs of sewing machine needles on hand, that kind of thing. So hopefully that makes sense. So the budget and inventory control is something completely right here on its own. Oops, dogs are barking. The house is awake. Um, let's see here. My husband keeps texting me. I've come to realize it doesn't matter what time I go live, I'm going to have an interruption. But anyways, I hope this was helpful. I'm going to go ahead and cut it short. But thanks for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. I'm almost to my goal of 1,000 subscribers for the end of 2022, and I can't do that without you. And I appreciate all of your support. If you're interested on getting on the podcast, let me know. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks, Pam. Have a good day, you guys.